FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is March 13th, 2017. Getting close to the Ides of March, but onto more important things. Just looking at retail store closings and retail chain bankruptcies for 2017. Well, just Google it. You can't believe it. Radio Shack bankrupt, closing 187 stores. JCPenney closing stores. Gander Mountain files for bankruptcy. Staples closing 70 more stores. Sears, another round of store closures. And it goes on and on and on. And someone who's been doing quite a bit of research on the topic of commercial real estate, retail, and malls in particular is our good friend, Gordon T. Long. Gordon, welcome back.
Thank you, Kerry. Always enjoy our conversations.
Hey, so retail apocalypse, it's really coming to pass now, isn't it?
It's been going on for quite some time, but it's accelerating, Kerry, and your list is just touching on it. It happens every day. There's these announcements, but when you put them up on a sheet of paper and you realize it's page after page, and they're Macy's, Sears, Kmart, you mentioned Radio Shack. It just goes Barnes & Noble, State Borders. It's Sports Authority here the other day. It just goes on and on and on. And it's fine. And we all know because it's going online. But what's happened is online has reached critical mass now. It's people accept buying online. It's quicker, it's faster, it's competitive, it's safer. And now Amazon's got the firepower to take it to another level. So now they've got the big box stores and the malls specifically, they've got them right on their heels. And it's starting to spill. And it's spilling over into people that are on the edge of that, the collateral damage. And we've got to remember that commercial real estate is the largest asset available in the world and in the United States. There's 13 trillion of commercial real estate, if not more, in the United States, and over 200 trillion in total in the globe. So a little bit of ripples. In this market, we talk trillions of dollars, and especially in the retail that we're seeing right now.
Well, it just shows.
Sorry?
Yeah, it just shows the internet either directly or indirectly has the power to disrupt everything, every aspect, every business model, everything in the economy. And this is just another example.
Yeah, the internet is, it really started to take off, let's say, with the dot-com bubble, late 90s. But it's in the last 8-9 years, it's really got with all the apps where it's the productivity that every single person endorses it, uses it. You walk around today, everybody's looking down at their iPhone, right? It's like nobody looks up, or you're in a lobby or wherever it is. So the internet is so well accepted and so part of our life of how to use it. And it's not the internet. It's like the internet of things, whether it's kiosks, et cetera, that it's office space today. You don't need the amount of office space anymore because all the clerical jobs have quickly and speedily been replaced. And we all know that. But as this wave is washing through industry after industry, it's really hitting now one of the biggest industries, and that's the commercial real estate. It's just washing onto this. And it's not just the internet. It's robotics. It's kiosks. Especially with us having increased the minimum labor rate and all these places being squeezed, they're being forced into levels of automation that they wouldn't have done before, and ever mind competitive pressures. And I don't think any of our listeners would disagree with what I'm saying, and they would say, yeah, Gord, I know all that. But it's the magnitude and the ramifications that are starting to arrive. We were, one of the blatant ways of seeing the ramifications is in the malls, because the department store model died 10 years ago, and we kind of all know that, and we had all these big box stores that appeared, but then they started to, what we seen as the department store model started to fail. The big box stores are starting to fail. A lot of the business also from the department stores went to boutiques and kiosks and urban centers. They're starting to fail. It all went online. So that's the department store, but we all know that they're the anchor stores in all these malls. And as anchor stores, their job is to bring in the traffic. Well, they're not bringing in the traffic anymore. So we've got a third of the malls in America now will likely fail within the next couple of years. Not likely, they're expected to fail.
They're in the process.
They're in exactly. They're in the process of trying to repurpose it. But now it's all the people who depend on the traffic in the malls that are now in trouble. And they have, and some of these are mall dependent businesses only. They've got no place to go and they can't go online. And now they're starting to figure out how to repurpose the malls. But the problem, and there's all sorts of things they can do sort of with these malls. And I give you examples of what I've witnessed. But the problem there is retail square footage price is very, very high. All it's repurposing, it's a dramatic less per square foot. So suddenly the building value just drops. And therein lies the rub. This is like the subprime in real estate in 2008 for housing, right? It started in subprime, an adjustable rate, and then it moved up, and then it eventually consumed the entire housing market. And you can see it with this repurposing driving down these prices. And it's not just the internet, because it's the millennials. They don't buy that way anyway. They buy online. They even decide on their patterns or their clothing trends from different apps and Facebook, et cetera. They just have a different way. Gen X's just don't have the time to do it. It's quicker, it's faster. And baby boomers, which 75 million baby boomers, they're not, that's not the age where you spend a lot of money. You still spend, but it's not the same level. And we have to remember we're a 70% consumption economy here, right? So as it starts to slow, and we have 10 to 20 times the retail real estate space as any other nation in the world, Kerry, to support the 70% consumption. So you can really see the unwind that's beginning, and then we can get into the financing on it.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, in Florida here, they actually built a new mall. It was the first new mall that was built in the country in like years, 2-3 years ago. But it was an outlet mall, and the malls here, it's a retiree state. Definitely is different, but in marginal areas, they're definitely closing. No question about it. But
well, some of the malls are going to do. I know malls, for example, up in Canada are doing very well, and there's certain places they're going to do well. And it's not because of cold weather. It's up in Canada. It's competition. The number of them, they haven't overstored to the same way we have in the United States, And I am not for one moment suggesting malls are completely finished. It's just that we got to get rid of probably half of them. And that has profound impact. I'm not saying that commercial real estate is going to be an apocalypse. I'm suggesting that there's a very significant slowing and pricing pressures. And at the size of this market, as I said, Kerry, 10% adjustments is staggering. We're talking trillions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been one of those industries, and this is maybe even more important, it's been one of those industries that insurance companies and pensions and endowments and trusts have lived off because it had good yield and very, very stable, wasn't disruptive, and in a low yield world, and now you have disruptions in there and prices changes and people are buying REITs like there's been no tomorrow here for quite a number of years because of yield. You got too many people on the wrong side of the boat here.
It certainly appears that way. And there's a limited amount of repurposing you can do in these malls. Pretty much what they've done with most of them in the past is just tear them down, Gordon.
Yeah,
really
exactly.
Don't have much choice.
They if they repurpose them, what they've ended up is they put education goes in our case, Bristol County put one in, but it's cheap. They become arcade amusements, but the traffic's not there. Some of these new age churches are using them. Local distribution, doctors, some of them town libraries and have all went in, but it's not enough. What they're concluding, and I've talked to people in commercial real estate, what they have to do is they're all in really good locations. They have to bulldoze them down and increase the density. Okay, so that what you're doing is you're putting maybe lower cost per square footage items in there, but you can get a lot more in. Not just using the square footage in the mall, using the whole area, those parking lots included, because they're huge they're huge acreages that are consumed. But now who's got the money to invest in doing that? Because typically those spaces start to be office spaces. There's no need. We're completely overbuilt in office spaces. Factories, we got empty warehouses and factories leased up here in the Northeast everywhere. So what starts to go in there? Well, one of the things is assisted living, retirement centers, but even those, there's just not quite enough money. So they're having troubles finding the people that are willing to make those kind of commitments in terms of developers.
Yeah. Yep. That's really it, isn't it? And it's a real challenge to find other uses. And I'm skeptical on whether they're going to be able to do it or not. So far, they haven't done it. I mean, they were talking about a Walmart someplace. They're going to use it as an immigrant processing center. Well, I think Trump's policies probably going to put a damper on that one, huh?
No comment on that, but I will comment on these Walgreens, CVS's, ShopRite or BuyRite, these drugstores. I don't know what down up here in the Northeast, every corner's got 3 drugstores in within a 2-iron of the center, and but all 3 of them aren't going to survive, and then they're trying to merge, but there's too many stores, so maybe only 1, or in some cases I'm seeing that they think only 2 of the 3 will survive. What does that do to the real estate prices? And when you start to see all these empty Walgreens, et cetera, on the corners, because I know up here when they started moving in these chains to compete for market share, the real estate prices all went through the roof. They were knocking down successful stores. They were knocking down donut shops with high volumes, anything to build them, and now they're empty. What are we going to bulldoze those down and go and put in another donut shop again? It just seems like too much money was chasing market share, and now they realized that that's only 100% market share, and the market itself might be shrinking. And now they want to get out while the getting's still good, because once it starts to go down, there's nothing more illiquid than commercial real estate. There's actually, when markets are going down, there's nothing more liquid than real estate, right?
Sure.
So, and a separate part of this, Kerry, is I'm seeing delinquencies in commercial mortgage-backed securities. They're up 6% now. They're climbing steadily. These are the warning signs that we saw back in 2008. And the way these things are financed is, we all know about back in the 2008 collateralized debt obligations and credit default swaps. That was a relatively unsophisticated game, even though we thought it was. You get into the sophistication that's used in these real estate financing deals, where you're into highly leveraged loan, collateralized loan obligations, synthetic CLOs, and I can go on and go on. You don't really know who owns what. And can you imagine trying to liquidate or refinance some of this stuff? We know what happened in the housing market. Try some of this on for size when you've got extended franchises or extended locations all across the nation. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah. Hey, and don't forget CLOs squared, which I totally don't understand, but somehow they work. It's madness, total madness. But because we didn't reform the last time when we had a chance in 2008, now we're going to be going through this, and it ain't going to be fun.
We always see these things, and they take longer than we think, and they were always very, very visible in advance. But we always just poo-poo it. It was like in the dot-com era, we knew that eyeballs was not a way of deciding on the finances of a company. They really had to make a profit. And it finally came to rest, and we know what happened there, and we know what happened with housing. You can see it, and it typically is because the underlying, it's a great story, and it's a story where everybody knows, hey, it's almost a way of life, but there becomes cracks in it. And the cracks in this story is the advance of technology, online, automation, kiosks, internet, etc., and how it's completely revolutionized how we buy, where we buy, and what we're willing to pay. And we say, well, that's common sense. Well, just a minute now. Do you need the amount of retail we have in this country? And as I said earlier, and we have to remember, we're a 70% consumption economy. That's how dependent we are on retail sales. Nobody consumes like us. The closest nation is 55%. Most are in the 38% range, and they have 1/20th of the retail square footage that we have right now. So it'll take a while. It's going to happen tomorrow, but it is happening behind the scenes. And the feeling I'm getting in my discussions is get out while you can still get out.
Well, it sounds like there'll be some great going out of business sales, that's for sure.
Well, there'll be some great restructuring deals. Yeah. There'll be prices will drop. There'll be takeover deals. There'll be a reinvention. We'll come out the other side of it stronger, hopefully. And there's going to be people that are going to make a lot of money, but there's going to be a lot of blood on the street. This is what happens with change. Yes. Change is going to happen. It has to happen. There'll be those who are win and those who are going to get hurt.
Winners and losers.
And that's healthy. That's what makes our economy go.
Creative destruction. Well,
it is, isn't it?
Hey, you haven't even touched upon, when you talk about automation, the biggest impact, or certainly one of the biggest impacts, and that is the driverless vehicle phenomena that we're going to have soon.
Oh, isn't that special?
And that's going to be even bigger than that.
Oh,
than
it's
the
huge.
Retail apocalypse, not to drive anymore.
The biggest employer, a job description in America is driver. Truck drivers, livery drivers of
Taxi,
some vehicle.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I looked at a map of the number one job in each of the 50 states. And 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was some kind of clerical description, secretary, even words that we don't even use anymore.
Yeah, what's a secretary? I mean, I have to go look that up.
And today, the map today, and I think I saw it on Zero Hedge, for those that can Google it, it's a truck driver. It's a dominant job in most of the states. Now, just think when we start to automate some of the long haul that might be easier to do in some cases, what it's going to do for employment there.
Yeah, and it's coming. I mean, it might not be here in 2 years, but certainly in 5 to 10, it will be here. It'll be predominant, but not to get off the topic because we are talking about retail. But you know what? Driverless trucks, what will it do to all of those service plazas that specialize in truck drivers all over the country? You talk about another area of retail under assault. Well,
in the retail side, it used to be that was the big box, FedEx and UPS and everything else, delivery, and it was the next day or 2 days or 3 days. Now it's same day delivery. So now it's moving to the point where people like Amazon are building all these local distribution centers. Maybe that's a repurpose for some of these malls, but I know we got a huge one going up not far from me, so that the goods themselves are much closer. And so now it says, they're going to deliver them. But now what are they looking at for delivery? They're looking at drones and things like that. And you can bet, knowing Amazon with their firepower, they'll be the first ones that'll have driverless delivery somehow, some way.
Well, hey, it's a changing world. We're all going to have to get used to it. It's going to affect all of you one way or the other. So be prepared. You can see the handwriting on the wall. If you're in retail, and you see this approaching, you think your mall becomes disposable, then you need to start thinking about Plan B here. And Plan B can encompass many different areas. Hey, Gordon, we got to run now. Just tell us, where do we find you?
The easiest, Kerry, is MATA, SII.com. Videos and articles and research that we do. And we have a whole area now, strategic investment initiatives, actually focused on commercial and retail real estate and what we're finding in there.
Okay.
That's good first stop to explore this area, as every day we discover more and more things on it.
All right. Well, we will have a link on our site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. Just shot one out the other day, actually this morning, Trump the Workaholic and Chief, Part 2. While you're there, any questions, comments on this interview or any others, send an email to kl@kerrylutz.com, kl@kerrylutz.com. Twitter feed is @KerryLutz. Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. And Gordon, we'll talk to you soon. Probably the next time we talk to you, there'll be a lot less retail stores around. And that'll also affect you as a consumer, where you do your shopping, how you do all this stuff. Anyway, Gordon, you be well. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks again, Kerry. Enjoyed it.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.